Hi, I'm the young architect, according to Larry here. So I'll be talking to you, younger architect, and I'm very pleased to do this. I was very impressed with yesterday's presentation, and I've seen all the works that everybody has done, and then I was very touched and excited at the same time. And today, I know everybody's hungry and everybody's cold, but bear with me for another 30 minutes. I'll try to speak as quickly as possible. But today's speech was all fantastic, and especially everybody with like fancy things and walking around, and my turn comes and then I get the microphone. And I really don't know how this slide thing works. And so anyway, bear with me. But I think I'm gonna stop talking to audience because I'm becoming very old-fashioned. Everybody with their fancy tools and they're just talking really naturally and all these things, and I'm not. I'm very nervous. So anyway, we go through this presentation first. Okay, very boring stuff. My background. My company was founded by my father, Kenzo Tange, 70-odd years ago. And I'm just sitting over there and thinking, how many years I've been practicing? Because Vincent was talking about 10 years. And here I am thinking, my gosh, over 35 years, which means I'm already over 60. And Nicholas said that he's going to be retiring in 5 years. Fantastic. Because I was very scared because I've been seeing his project and everything. Oh shoot, I better work very hard because otherwise he's gonna beat me. But I'm so happy he's retiring in 5 years. And I worked for only 35 years under my father for 20 odd years. And then I'm gonna work only 35 more years. And also, I am not going to be a son of Kenzo Tange, because all my life I was a son of Kenzo Tange, and I realized that I am becoming very old. And then now, actually, I just got a message from my daughter who is in Amsterdam. She's not architect, she's working for Microsoft. And yesterday she had a talk, and her audience was 900 people. She beat me by far in any talk that I have done in my lifetime. So I think this is one of the last one, okay? So listen to me carefully for another 25 minutes. We've been working from Japan and Singapore, and we've been working in different countries, 33 countries, 430 projects. Somebody in my office calculated, I have no idea in reality, but somewhere around there. And today's topic, forward, challenging design boundaries. We have done all sorts of master plan to office, to commercial, to whatever, blah, 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 hospitality, culture building, and interiors as well. And after working in the 33 different countries, so many projects, for us, there's no boundary anymore. Country to country doesn't make any difference. And also, what kind of function? People ask me, what are you specialized in? I said, I have no idea. Because if you're staying a short period of time and sleeping, then it's a hotel. And if you stay longer, I would like to say residence, but a lot of times we say office. We spend more time in the office. And then, I have no barrier between one thing to another. And then the country to culture, you have to observe it, obviously, but that is all you have to do, because, you have to understand what we have to do is, with vision, we create buildings for people. At the end of the day, big master plan to small interior, it doesn't matter. It's for people. That is the most important thing. And then, Nicholas, you are absolutely right. I have no idea about the smart city. And I'm very happy to say that because you admit it then, Cameron has said that, let's collaborate and try to get everything together to make a better living space. And yesterday we have heard so many of things about boundaries and problems, etc., etc. Today I want to talk about boundary exists. Yes, it is true. However, we have to, as an architect, I try to take that boundary away and then merge those things, connect them in a various way. And that's where the special chemistry start working. So for me, today I'll talk about 4 different kind of connections. One is connect city and architecture. The other one is connect exterior and interior. And then connect architecture and function. And at the end, function and people. Those are the things that we are talking about, design boundary. But boundary, yes, we accept, but we overcome that. That's the most important thing in my mind. From working in the various different countries, we realize that environment is totally different. Whatever the environment that you are in, there's no one architectural solution. There is always a context, client, so on. So one building cannot stay in any environment. For example, we have done the City Hall and a mixed-use development where Park Hyatt is in Shinjuku. Again, these 2 buildings on left-hand side is a City Hall, and the third one is mixed-use development. But when I was looking at it, we have an opportunity to create skyline. So it doesn't matter what is a City Hall or what is other buildings, but we try to create an interesting skyline. That was our attempt. And then we have done a few other buildings. Recent one, which is already 10 years old, but Modo Gakuen Cocoon Tower, 50-story school building. So within those cities in Japan, which is rather boring square buildings, but what we try to do is we add flavors to the skyline and also representing the actual function of the building. And also, city needs open space, breathing space. This is a piazza that we created. Oops, sorry. It was a reservoir, Shinjuku area, 9 square blocks of 2 hectares each. And in the center, we created the plaza, not only for the City Hall, but for the center of Shinjuku area. We need a breathing space in the city. How did this come out? Actually, my father was a front runner of creating an office building in 50s on. And an older building is always very clear distinction between inside and outside. And especially government building, very strong, symmetrical, this and that. And from there, we have started to work differently. No, city halls and the government center is for people who are staying in that area. So we try to create open idea of creating a plaza and so on, so that people can come in. It is not, it's a cooperation of government people and the citizen. So that's what we started to do, and this was the beginning of modern architecture in Japan. And in 80s, we have created this open space. If you come to Japan, please go have a look. I think it's a very nice area in the center of 9 square block where you can have a breathing space. Again, we designed the building for people. Passerby, if you see 250-meter towers left and right, it's very, very oppressive. So one in the City Hall, which is built in 1985 we started, so we finished in the 1990s or so. And the other one, Cocoon Tower, 50-story school building, which is built 10 years ago. It looks quite different, but we have a very similar approach. We give a sky back to people. So instead of having a sheer wall, we have twin tower looking, and the other one is the shape of the cocoon. Both, when you're walking by, you always see the sky more. which is something a different shape, but this is a contribution for us to the people. So you can see the portion of the sky increases. And since we are in Singapore and we are invited by Nippon Paint, I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of us with Singapore. This is a picture of course, everybody knows Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, and next to it, my father, looking at map of Singapore. And we are very honored that Mr. Lee Kuan Yew has mentioned that one of the master planner who helped shape Singapore was Kenzo Tange, and the other one is Nippon Paint. And actually yesterday, maybe you have seen this model. This was a project that we have done for Marina South, which was done in 1983. Nippon Paint was once created one scheme. Kenzo Tange created one scheme. This was when I was a graduate school at Harvard. Summertime, I went back to the office and do some model making. So some of the greeneries that you see is mine. But the whole idea is my father's, which you can see that existing road network, and then it's all the city axes are there where the old high-rise buildings are, and in between is a park setting. And as you go farther to the sea, the building volume goes down. And actually, you can see left-hand corner, there's 3 towers, and that's where Marina Bay stands now. So volumetrically, it was kind of kept in that scale. Yes. Oh, okay. No, because actually I thought that maybe some of you has gone to ULA and see. No, okay. Please. Yes. And what I wanted to point out is upper right-hand corner says Kenzo Tange Associates, I think, is 1983. And more importantly, that box. It was kept from 1983 to today, and I am one of the creator of that box. Of course, I could not touch the big model, right? Only the greens, I mean, the students, we always do that kind of stuff. But that's my contribution. And then here I am standing here after 35 years later. Oh my goodness. But also we are working on a different part of the Singapore. This is one north, Rochester. Actually, master plan was done by Zaha Hadid. It was a very curved, linear, volumetric idea you can see on the purple models there. And we were given one project near the Buena Vista Station. So we have the 2 twin towers. One is a residential, one is a hotel. But we created the passage in between so that we'll be having a gateway from Buena Vista Station to the development of the master plan that created by Zaha Hadid. Again, we are quite fortunate to be able to do some of the skyline of Singapore as well. We have done one Raffles Place, which was called OUB Center, Tower 1, and then UOB Plaza, Tower 1 and Tower 2, and the Telecom Center. But in the middle of that, we have I don't know which year, it was 2012, we have completed another tower for OUB Center, now known as One Raffles Place, Tower 2. Again, what I wanted to show you was a big vision, going out the boundary. My father has come up with the idea in 1980s to have this tall tower called OUB Center. In the bottom of that building, he created a cutout of 31 meters, which is the lower portion on the right-hand side picture, because it was standing right next to very famous Raffles Place. And my father wanted to connect that to the Singapore River, which is very important because that's where Sir Stamford Raffles walked from the river, going across to the raffle place and claim Singapore. Is it true? I'm not sure. But anyway, it is a historical place. So we wanted to recreate this passage. And then we first started in 1980s for One Raffles Place, Tower 1. And then we were fortunate that we could do UOB Plaza. It was two big banks in Singapore. And of course, when we were commissioned to do UOB Plaza, we went to the owner of OUB, UOB and OUB, very confusing, but our owner of OUB, and we asked for permission because we have to be respectable to the client. And then he said, not a worry, because I am the one who recommended you to the other client. So what it is that we created another passageway, an arrow that you can see, connectivities. And then what we have done is we are given another opportunity to do Tower 2. And in between Tower 1 and Tower 2 of OUB Center, now One Raffles Place, had a service road. And that was problematic because if you're creating the building, on one side of the building is one tower and the other side is another tower, but they're not connected, it's no good. So we have worked very closely with URA, and we asked for permission to try to put everything together and divert this service road. But of course there is a technicality because of the land lease change, this and that. But actually we wanted to show the design intention, and they agreed to actually divert the service road. So now we are having, instead of service road in the middle, the new entrance to this complex. And then we placed one of the biggest Senju Hiroshi's artwork in the center. And again, we work very closely with URA. It's very important that government and private sector work closely. When we were working on the project, this was a proportion of two lands, volume. So we have created another volume. Then we asked, by putting land together, we can make the right proportion of the project. So this is how it is standing right next to each other. My father did not leave the sketches of building, but we tried to match these two scales. So this is how it stands now. Actually, Tower 1 and Tower 2 looks totally different, but actually we respect the proportion of the building so that it stands, one is modern, one is 1980s style, but I think we are in harmony with two towers. Again, in Orchard Road, we have done another project called Orchard Gateway. Project was actually the competition. On the right-hand side is where competition site was. But when I was looking at the Orchard Road and I see the same group company owner was having that at the other side of land, which was underdeveloped. So I said I was bullish enough, okay, we do the gateway so that, and then we can connect Orchard Road. Because I think I had a long conversation with Larry, because Orchard Road is not pedestrian friendly. You cannot go across so easily. So when this was done in 2014, I said, can we go across so that people can see you going across? Like in Hong Kong, you see bridges everywhere, and everybody goes through everywhere. But here in Singapore, that wasn't the case. But I proposed, and then of course, Larry helped me, and then we worked all the way to the minister, and then finally we managed to do this, and then we hope that there'll be a few more bridges in that area. And coming back to this one, actually what I have thought about is not only the bridge. This Orchard Road is a very linear development. What I wanted to do is extending it as a plane, the whole area to be together. And also when I was growing up in Singapore, there was a specialist center, and it has a tiny little arcade connecting Orchard Road to Somerset. And then I used to go through that with my mom because my father was working. And I thought homage to that passage is very important. So we created the passageway. And then on the other side, if you have time, please go and visit Emerald Hill. It's a very historical, beautiful area that you can have a drinks and so on. And then also another thing is like thinking big. I look at Orchard Road, and this is in about 10 years ago. And I realized that Orchard Road is a very linear development, but every 500 meters, there is a space that people can rest. I'm not going to go into the detail of it, but we could create our building as one of the nodes. So that's what we did. And recently, Singapore came up with a new idea of Orchard Road, and due respect, it was very similar in thinking of dividing the area into 4 bits, so it's not like long line of shopping mall, but we created the precinct, which I'm very happy because I thought that I contributed a little bit, even though I was not commissioned to work on this project. Again, next one is interior and exterior. How to take the boundary off, but it's where it comes in the center becomes a very important point. If you go to Kyoto, Katsura is a very famous palace. There you see the deck, it's extended. You don't know whether you're inside or outside, but that's a very vague space that in Japan is very highly respected. And that's a kind of idea that we have to think. There's no wall. Wall can be layers. So you have more walls, then Nippon Paint will be very happy to have more walls to paint. And coming with that idea, I came up with this design almost 10 years ago in Sentosa. Instead of having exterior wall, balcony, I just cover that balcony with the skin or another layers, which becomes much more a vague space, but it gives a more playful space as well. And various projects in Singapore. This is under construction, Jadescape. Again, we have sky gardens where people can enjoy. And also on Orchard Gateway, we have a variety of open space in between shopping mall and the hotel. Poolside, you can enjoy the view. Everybody goes to Marina Bay Sands, but it's so big, and then nowadays they don't let anybody go in, and unless you are staying in the hotel. But here you can go and see. It's much more quiet, but I think it's a similar idea. Again, in Indonesia, we have done that for the bank. Also, outside space that workers can enjoy. And then again, connecting architecture and function. Today, we are looking at let's say this hotel is a big hotel, and I'm old-fashioned, so I still like big hotels, but nowadays, there are a variety of hotels. It used to be one room has living space, bedroom, study, etc., etc. But nowadays, things are changing. They still have a big grand hotel, and the other one room is very small, but the other open space is much more of your living space. Some of the example in Jen, in Orchard Gateway, there's open space and a deck, and then the bars, and the rooms are rather small, and then we took away all the walls from the bathroom, so you're literally going through the bathroom to go to the room, but you don't feel that you are going through the bathroom. Another example in Citizen M in New York and Public in New York, the latest Ian Schrager's hotel. Similar idea. I don't know. I think I have to pass the story to Nicholas because she's a savvy, IT guys, and then you just don't want to stay in a small room. But you go out in a living room, which happened to be a lobby with a library, dining room, and all these things. So it's different. I mean, in my office, I don't make a decision all the time. I talk to my guys, especially the young people, because my thinking is not correct, because I don't know how younger people works. A lot of times I consult with my daughter, and what she think about, not the design, but the space configuration. So these are the example of architecture and function. And then this is one of the hotel in Tokyo. It's bookstore, bookshelf, and you can stay. Oh, sorry. And there is a bedroom there. You can literally go and stay there. It's almost like a library. And then now we are doing another project in China. It's under construction. Again, we are creating the open spaces and art spaces and gallery spaces within a building itself. So all this terrace area is activated, and then actually the client is not art collector, he's an artist collector. He commissioned so many artists in China to provide all the works in the different places. And then, of course, it is a very expensive building. Can you imagine making a crazy structure like that? But for him, it was giving back to the people artwork. He has another, not designed by us, but actually Norman Foster designed in Beijing called Eclat also. In the public area is Dali's artwork and everybody's artwork everywhere. So it's not a museum, but it's just giving back to the people. We are doing the same thing in another part of China. It's under construction. Again, another connectivity is actually function and people. Again, today's talk about connectivities and so on, I used to work in a workspace and then communicate in a communication space and then live and sleep in the different spaces. But nowadays, everybody is multifunctioning, multitasking. So everything becomes together. And then that's the way it is today. And then that's why I'm saying I'm still a young architect, but I have to talk to younger people to understand what the needs are. Again, when we did a 50-story school building in Shinjuku, the same thing. What we have to not only make the school vertical, we have to redefine the space. Because for me, the most important place is schoolyard. Because schoolyard is where people communicate, not, classroom is important, but if you don't communicate, its communication is one way. Where you learn everything is, especially the student here, they know how important the schoolyard is. But if you do vertical space, what are you going to do? We segmented that and created smaller schoolyard every 3 floors. Workspace is the same thing. We have traditional reception area, an open working area, but this is changing. Now some spaces, you go to a reception and interactive birds will take you to the meeting room. Why not? Office space, both are open office space, but some of them are much more pleasant with the greeneries, and then everything is totally different, but still open working space. In the history of high-rise building, in early 20s, the skyscrapers are coming in. Usually the office space and then maybe a residential. And they went on to the single usage of the vertical development until literally like 80s. Then finally, mixed use of vertical development started to happen. That's why I would like young people to think out of the box. Yesterday, one of the architectural students from Indonesia was talking about a fishing village in a vertical development. We have done in Hong Kong 24-story shopping mall. Everybody thought they're not going to work. But to me, it was the idea of creating the street in a vertical way. In other words, it's not one shopping mall, 5 shopping malls on top of each other with the different functions. This is, to me, the scene of Hong Kong. Today's presenter talked about, actually Vincent, it was you, who were talking about the neon sign. To me, Hong Kong is all about neon sign. Not that I like neon sign, but that's the feeling of Hong Kong. And you can see Nathan Road, this building is on Nathan Road. You hear, you know, auntie talking to uncle across the street, da, 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 I don't know. And then like you smell the char siu pao, you know, that's the energy of Hong Kong. So what I did was put it together, vertically, and that's where it is. Facade represent different type of shopping mall, but it is, to me, it's an homage to scene of Hong Kong. And it has terraces and so on for the green spaces as well. And this is my last project. Sorry, I'm talking too much. But this was a competition scheme for the library in Taiwan. And sometimes it's very good to show what you have done, but it wasn't built. 2 days ago, I was in Taiwan, and I signed a contract. One client loved this building, but instead of library, he wants to make a hotel out of it. So, hey, don't stop. Whether you are the winner or you're not the winner, doesn't matter. Just show your work. I think it's today's presenter, they're talking about showing your work. It's very important. Sometimes some client will love it. And this one is actually now stands in a riverfront, and we are creating the hill. And then here, again, the boundary of ambiguous spaces. Interior, you don't know where's the interior ends and where's exterior starts. And we are collaborating with a local architect, and then, you know, we are trying to split the work, and it's impossible because you don't know where the interior ends. So we just say, okay, we sit down and do the project. This is the lobby space, and this is the exterior space. Some part is a terrace for the individual room. Some of them are actually the space, that communal space, that maybe we can do some farming and so on. And the interior, the first 2 floors will be lifted up so people can pass through, because it's facing the river, but it's a big barrier there. So we lift up the whole thing and open up the whole 2 ground floors, and then so that, you know, all the people who are staying in the hotel have a better view. So sometimes you design something and for one function, but sometimes it moves on. But, you know, of course, now the reality hits. When I did this for the library, it was conceptual. But now we really have to fit in everything inside as a hotel, which is a challenge. But, you know, that's something that you have to always face as an architect. This is an evening view. And from boundary to connections, what is important for us is to remove the boundary and actually make the best out of that connectivity and create new value physically. Should be the mission of the architect, and that's what we try to do. And I hope all of you will continue to work as an architect with challenging yourself, challenging the issues, and so on. And we will be happy to have any question and answer. And also, if you're interested in working for Tange Associates, we are very welcome. Thank you very much.